What's up, guys? This is Sam Talks About Games, and today I'm going to be talking about the direction that I think Nintendo is headed um, in regards to transitioning to Nintendo Switch 2. So, as we know, the transition from 3DS to Switch was relatively smooth. We were still getting new games up until 2019 for Nintendo 3DS. Luigi's Mansion, WarioWare Gold, um, Mario Sports. There's some good stuff. And I think it will be no different for Switch. I think the real question is cross-gen. How much cross-gen are we going to get with Nintendo Switch 2? Well, that's what I'll be talking about today. So, I think cross-gen is, if we look at Nintendo's history, very unlikely. Because they've never done extended cross-gen into a console's lifespan. But this is a different president. We're living in a different age. We're living in an age where Persona 3 Reload's launching in 2024, and it's still coming to PS4 and Xbox One. And that whole new Persona game, pretty much, it's an excellent remake. Resident Evil 4 Remake came to PS4. One of the best looking games I've ever seen. So we're in a day and age where cross-gen is more so the norm, due to, in my opinion, diminishing returns. As the more powerful and powerful things get, the thing less powerful than it, the gap is more narrow. Now, the gap between Switch 2 and Switch might be pretty big, but I have optimism that they could still optimize games for Switch. But I don't think they're going to do it for all games. I don't think 3D Mario is going to be on Switch, but I do think Metroid Prime 4 is going to be on Switch. I don't think the next Mario Kart is going to be on Switch, but I could see the next Donkey Kong being on Switch, if it's 2D, that is. If it's 3D, I don't know. So, today I'm going to be talking about this cross-gen idea and how I think they're going to handle 2024 leading up to a Switch 2 launch in late 2024. So, I also want to talk about the games that are coming out for Switch until then, because that's an important piece of the puzzle, keeping up the momentum, in order to make cross-gen make sense. So, obviously we know about Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon Remaster, or Visual Enhancement as they're calling it, and the Princess Peach game. I don't think we're going to get very many new games. We're going to get remasters, don't worry, but I don't see us getting a lot of new games. So for example, I could see F-Zero GX remaster coming next year, made by Next Level Games, and do not sleep on that. That should be a good one, considering it's made by Next Level. There is also the possibility of a new Donkey Kong game coming out before Switch 2, but I'm thinking it's 3D, and if it's 3D, I'm thinking they save it for Switch 2. There's not much else they could do in the 2D space. They could also drop Wind Waker Twilight Princess in there. Fire Emblem 4 Remake, that's probably a Switch game. Although it could possibly be Switch 2. We'll see. It depends on when it comes out. They're not going to save it for Switch 2, but if it comes out during the Switch 2 era, it'll be a Switch 2 game. Yeah, like Wind Waker Twilight Princess, although I kind of have a sneaking suspicion that they're saving those for Switch 2 and they're going to release them one at a time and have them be full remasters, not just HDifications. That's just my speculation. There could be a 2D Zelda that comes out on Switch, although I don't think that's happening next year, so that's probably a Switch 2 thing. Yeah. Xenoblade Chronicles X, although I do think that's going to get remastered for Switch 2. I think the time has passed for a Switch release for that. But yeah, that's a pretty solid lineup, I'd say, if you include the Pokemon and Splatoon DLC and the possibility of Tears of the Kingdom DLC. Although, at this point, I don't think it's likely that we're getting Tears of the Kingdom DLC. It could still happen. Um, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe DLC, which is DLC for a port, mind you, came out 5 years after release. So, anything's possible. Um, but yeah, those are my thoughts on the release lineup leading up to Switch 2. Now I'm going to talk a little more about the cross-gen itself and the lineup I think Switch 2 is going to launch with, and what will be cross-gen, what will not be cross-gen. Um, Obviously, I think Metroid Prime 4 and 3D Mario are going to be at or near launch. 3D Mario is definitely going to be at launch. Prime 4 could be paired with it. We'll see. But 3D Mario, I don't think is cross-gen. That's going to be their big system seller. They'd be dummies to make it cross-gen. Prime 4, I think it's going to be cross-gen because they promised it for Switch. Closer to release, I could see they gotta have something Zelda for Switch 2 within the first couple years. First year, actually, I'd say. So, screw it. Ocarina of Time remake. And that would not release on Switch. You see my point here? I think there's only going to be like one or two cross-gen titles. And one of those is going to be Metroid Prime 4. I think Switch will still get support, but I think it's going to be like the 3DS still got support. 3DS wasn't cross-gen. The only other thing I could see being cross-gen is maybe like some 2D games like a Super Metroid remake. The sequel to Metroid Dread would be too late in the system's life cycle, so no. But yeah, I think cross-gen isn't really going to be the norm for Switch 2, and I'm completely fine with that, because I'm all for hardware taking advantage of itself, games taking advantage of hardware. I'm going to buy the Switch 2 day one, and while it may suck for people who don't have a Switch 2, I will have one, and I want to see games that take advantage of that. It's been my common complaint with PlayStation 5 this generation, is that it feels like games aren't taking advantage of the hardware, because we're still getting releases for PS4. Imagine if God of War Ragnarok actually felt like a next-gen game. I mean, it looks phenomenal, it looks fantastic. It looks better than God of War 2018. But it's still released on the PS4, hence it being held back by the PS4. And I think another part of this problem, maybe I'm getting a little too crazy here, with cross-gen games holding back systems, is even the current-gen games. Series S kind of feels like a last-gen console. And games have to release for that. Baldur's Gate 3 is taking a while to come to Xbox because of that. Xbox is causing PlayStation to have exclusives for their console. That's not a good business practice. But yeah, enough rambling. That's about it. And I hope you guys have a good day. See ya.